Oh, you should stay up there like that. Hey, welcome back to Grit Gym. Today is Tuesday, so it's the Rachael and Adam show. Rachael and I are going to get into the topic of small talk here in a little bit. And before that, Rachael is a little bit more of a feeler. I'm a little bit more of a thinker. Those are just our tendencies towards things, so we have a different perspective on basically everything from each other, which really leads to a lot of good things because basically then everything. She grows her intelligence and I grow my intelligence because we have disagreements between us. And that's what we try to do on the show, and we do this show so that you can get on the same page with your partner in terms of your health. If you guys can get on the same page as your partner, it is going to make this so much easier. If you have both of you, if one of you is sitting there and you do the partner in crime thing where you lay on the couch and you don't go work out for weeks at a time, and the other one sits there and does the same thing, versus one of you saying, no, we're going to do this. We said we were going to do this. Now we're going to stick to it. If both of you go into this together, you are so much more likely to make this thing a success. And it goes into your nutrition. It goes into your recovery. It goes into when you go to bed at night, what you eat, and how you work out. So get on the same page with your partner about this stuff. But what do you want to talk about small talk for anyway?
Just popped up in my head.
Just popped up in your head. That is hot. Well, that is super hot.
I've heard you talk about small talk before.
Like the disdain?
Like in actual conversations where like, I just don't like small talk. I despise small talk.
Is that what I say?
And I always feel like I have to come into the conversation and be like, he just likes to get to know you. He doesn't like to just have the...
Do I do this bad?
Yeah. It's like...
I just like bypass... I don't know. I don't really mean to. I try to be a nice guy and everything, but like bypass all the bullshit. Just get me to the... Like, let's get to the meat. Let's talk about something real. Let's not get like... I don't know.
I think you throw people off sometimes. So...
I probably do.
What I wanted to talk about when I was thinking of the topic is the importance of breaking the habit of small talk.
Breaking the habit of small talk?
Well, giving into small talk and kind of getting outside your comfort zone and pushing the boundaries of the conversations that you could potentially be having with strangers, especially strangers.
That sounds fun.
I mean, especially like people that you know, because...
That is true. Like, you're right. Like, because like I meet people for the first time you've been around, and they'll be like, who is this guy? And they...
I watch it immediate. It's like, guard up, douchebag.
I'm not a jerk about it. I'm just like I ask questions.
I know, yeah. But if they're not ready for it, which a lot of people aren't, a lot of people are not ready for the confrontation of... I
don't think I'm confronting them, though. I'm just asking a question. I'm just a very curious person.
But there's a lot of people that get offended about a lot of things.
That's their problem. I don't understand being offended I understand being offended. I don't like it, but it's still... Like, I get that it happens, and that's the end of it for me. Like, beyond that, I'm being offended, like, get real. Come on, grow up.
Yeah, I agree. But at the same time... Like, if they are understanding where you're coming from and getting that you want to get to know them.
Yeah.
Sometimes it sounds like, you're boring me.
They are. They are boring.
But the thing that's boring about them is they're choosing to talk about the weather. We all, like, there's nothing exciting about the weather unless there's, like, a tornado or a hurricane.
They're not boring. It's just the thing that, like, yes. I think if you're in a conversation with somebody and you get to a point where you're on subjects that aren't interesting, then you're not seeing the real person. Like, you're not being real and they're not being real, and you're exchanging this bullshit nonsense between each other, and you're not having this, like this genuine... exchange. And it's like I don't want to wait, like, me personally, I wouldn't want to waste my time in a scenario like that. It's like I want to know what you think. If it's completely in opposition to me, I'm completely fine talking about that. I want to know what you think.
Yeah. Well, there's 7 billion people in the world.
I think it's more than that now, isn't it?
It's around 7 billion.
It's around 7 billion.
And we have the opportunity to interact with I don't know how many.
Yeah.
Just think of like all the conversations that we like. He's really good about this.
What's that?
Like, I don't know how many Ubers we've been in, and like he'll just like say a random comment that I'm just like, oh my god, where is he going with this? But then it turns into like a conversation. Like you get to know the person. It's not like, oh, what are you doing today, and where are you coming from? It's more like, what do you think about this? And
yeah, some of the best conversations I've ever had are with cabbies and Uber drivers.
Yeah.
And in a 15-minute time frame, like 7-minute time frame, we had this very in-depth thing where we exchanged like this amount of knowledge. This one guy, I crawled into his cab one time. I remember this so well. I think, yeah.
What?
It was with you. It was one of the first times that we ever.
Where was this?
It was from here. Anyway, so dropped you off and I like drove you to, I think we took a cab to go get your car. Mm-hmm. Anyway, no need to go into the details there. So I'm coming back alone with this cab driver. I start asking him questions, getting into stuff. I made fun of something. And he goes, well, actually, it's really interesting because blah, 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 blah. And he started talking about linguistics and how certain words like worsh and wash and how that's all, like if we were really going to get real about linguistics, then we've got to look at the words tough and rough because really those shouldn't be pronounced that way. They should, and really like in their, he was talking about how in their origin, and I went home and looked all this stuff up too, and I was like, wow, this guy really knew a lot about this stuff. And apparently his father was a professor at Iowa in linguistics something, I don't remember. But he was talking about like how really those words should be said like toh and raw, like not rough. Like toh. Anyway, and it was like the coolest conversation. And it lasted 10 minutes, and I was asking him all sorts of questions. Like we were going back and we were having this really nice exchange. And then I left. I was like, man, it's been really great talking to you.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing too. Like people have a fear of opening up. But if you're in a conversation with somebody for 10, 15 minutes, what do you have to lose? You're never going to see that person.
Yeah.
Likely. That's what I like about Uber.
Yeah, I haven't seen that guy
like
since.
Uber and Lyft drivers. It's like, you know that this is like a part-time thing for them. They usually have like a side job that like, who knows what it is. Like, we were in a lot of the ones that we've gone into, like they have side businesses or they're like professors or they have families that are like, it's
where they
really,
just moved to town and they needed a job, so they started Ubering.
Yeah,
it's really cool to talk with different people in these like finite little short realms like this because there's almost like a level of safety there where they know that you're going to leave. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to get all boozed up for them to talk to you.
So why do you think it is that we go to small talk so quickly? I mean, me as I worked as a bartender for a very long time, and small talk is just what you do. And it's like you'll have those conversations where you have the chance to go in this direction or the small talk direction. And it's just like I look back at that and I'm like, I could have learned so much about these people in that moment, but I was too busy and like doing my own thing.
You had a job to do.
Yeah,
and some
I had
of
a
that
job
I
to
think
do.
is just programmed response. Like someone says, "How's it going?" You say, "Good." You know what I mean? It's just like bang. It's just there.
Ooh,
it's already you're right. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the answer to that is, but I think it's interesting that we have to. There is a certain amount of safety that you have to build with people before they can really tell you their deepest, darkest secrets, and that's not what I'm curious about. I'm curious about what they like, their opinions, what they think, like their perspective, really more than anything.
Yeah.
I don't need to know your deepest, darkest secrets. Keep that to yourself.
No.
Like I would like think if you walk up to every single person and you said, "How's it going?" and they told you exactly how it was going every single time. Like, you don't always want to hear all the cheap drama in their life that might be going on.
No.
Like, that would be like,
I mean,
pump the brakes.
I think.
I did not. This isn't what I meant when I asked this question.
Like salon or hairstylists and physical trainers are basically like therapists. They just are there.
Wow.
Like the things that you've heard.
Yeah. You doing my job, you hear things, especially back when I trained one-on-one, I heard things that like I just never expected. I mean, no 23-year-old male, I think like I was one of very, very few 23-year-old males that knew that much about menstrual cycles, for instance. Like people that just come in and be like, "Hi, I'm just gonna have an off day today. I have a very heavy flow." I'd be like, "How? Why? Okay, well, let's get to work." Yeah, stuff like that.
But like, if this whole thing is about like living your best life and finding meaning, like the most meaningful conversations come out of like getting to know someone and making connections. And
yeah, I agree.
Like, I don't know, even with family members,
it's tough to get to sometimes.
Yeah, it's
really I find it to be like a fairly difficult thing to get down to, like I don't know, like there is a little bit of I've noticed, especially in the last 5 years. I used to just ask anybody anything, anytime, anywhere, just bang, ask them a question, just blurt it out. And reflecting back on that now, especially in the last 5 years, and actually, especially in the last, definitely in the last year, I've noticed that I have to change my wording because people get so offended so easily.
I know that.
And I have to say, I'm not challenging you by asking this question. I'm asking out of genuine curiosity, and then I ask my question. And I'm much more likely to get an answer than to get a response. The other way when I just blurt out the question, I just get a reaction. They're just like, "Well, fuck you, blah, 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 blah." And it's like, I didn't, like I was asking out of curiosity. I wasn't asking to challenge. I was asking like as a genuine, like a discourse, like a discussion.
Well, yeah, that's the thing too. When you ask questions, you want to listen to hear the answer. You don't want to listen just so that you can continue conversation.
I'm not manipulating them with a question.
No.
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of people think. I could be wrong there. I mean, I could be wrong, and maybe I'm just a total asshole. I don't know, but I'm extremely curious person. I want to know.
Well, on a very basic level, we all want to be heard and make connections. Yeah.
I want to hear.
Yeah, I was thinking about that conversation that you said that you would always have with your principal when you were getting a detention. Like how you got out of detention?
Every time. Not 60% of the time it worked every time. Worked every time.
So he found out that his principal really liked planes.
Loved flying airplanes.
He would just sit there and he'd ask him all these questions about planes. And in that moment, your principal was probably so excited to teach you about it.
He was giddy.
That's the thing too. People love to teach
Mr. Punt
what they're passionate about.
He was like an authoritarian too. Like he was this like tried to be like Mr. I don't know, like Mr. Military. And he's this big guy. And I actually like Mr. Punt quite a bit. I think I have a trouble with people who try to impose their authority on others. At Grit Gym, there are no rules. There are guidelines, and if you value those guidelines, you will use those guidelines. If you don't, then you're gonna have a really tough time. But I don't think of it as like authoritarian. He was very authoritarian, and all the times that I got in trouble, they were all like funny and pithy. So I was kind of going to the office like because the teacher was frustrated and I don't know. It was always funny, but I would just sit there and I would ask I'd work it into the conversation something about flying airplanes, about him flying airplanes, and he started telling me everything. I know so much about how to land an airplane. It's insane, and I've never flown an airplane before. And he would tell me, we'd sit there and we'd talk for like an hour, 2 hours, and he was so excited to do it, and he'd be like, "All right, Adam, well, I suppose it's time for you to go back to class." And I'd be like, "Yeah, well, I guess so. We'll see you later, Mr. And I think I served like 1 or 2 detentions, and I probably had somewhere in the like high 20s, low 30s.
Well, people love to talk about their passions, so you nailed that one on the head.
It was interesting to hear too. It wasn't like I didn't like the conversation. It was
probably
interesting.
More interesting than going back to class.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely was.
But I was thinking about this too, like
because I got kicked out of a lot of the teachers' classes.
Sometimes something that keeps me from engaging in like meaningful conversation It's like either you don't know them, or you look at them and you don't see what you could possibly have in common with that person. But
you're searching for it though. Like I know you. You're like.
But I remember like after I started like my job, or I don't know, you tend to start to find things that you have in common with people that you never think that you would have in common with them. Like very opposite looking, age-wise, everything. You would never think that you had anything in common with them. And then you kind of become connected because of that.
Yeah.
It's kind of awesome how that works.
Yeah. I was just writing about this at the end of the book. By the way, I just finished. I haven't announced this on social media or anything like that because I was kind of keeping it to myself, being selfish about it. But I am now done with my first book. Is 100% complete.
So when does it come out?
I don't know yet. We got to put the finishing, like we have to build the cover and do all that kind of stuff. But I was writing about this in the book, and like what you're talking about there is like our commonalities. Like our commonalities bind us, right?
Yeah.
And I think that like whenever I went traveling, people are like, once you get into different cultures and once you get around other people that are from different cultures and stuff like this, once you get into this like diversity place, this very diverse place from where you grew up, you'll see how different people are. And I was like really excited to go do that. And I thought I had bought and sold this notion that people are different and that you should learn from their difference. But every time that I got to these places where I was around everybody that was supposedly different than me, all I could see was that they had the same. They got awkward, they got scared, they got happy, they got sad, they smiled, they interacted, they wanted to interact with each other. Like that. Like I saw I was so convinced that I was wrong for seeing the commonalities and not seeing the difference. I was like, what's the matter with me? I don't see the differences here. Like, I get it. They speak a different language. They eat a little bit different food, but really they're still eating food. They're still eating it together. Like, all I could see was the commonalities. And I think that we have, in our culture, like this value to diversity. Like, diversity only focuses on the division instead of the commonality. And I think that that can get very, very long. I'm not saying like diversity is bad and that we shouldn't be around other people that are from different cultures before somebody jumps on here and jumps my case about this, like it's happened before. But like I'm saying that like noticing that other people have more in common with you than they do different is a powerful thing, and that binds each other, not the other way around. So this I'm not a big fan of the way that we view diversity in our. Like the way that we're trying to view diversity today. I think it's really silly. Because I think like that, like your commonalities bind you. They allow you to have a deep, meaningful relationship.
It's just finding how that can relate to you and kind of exploring it, I guess.
I think so too. I mean, we had to find that too. I mean, you're looking at two very, very, very different people in a lot of different regards. But we have more commonalities than we do difference.
Do we? I don't know. Sometimes, like super assertive, super passive, super nurturing, not so nurturing,
super left brain, super right brain. Yeah, there's some differences. Super agreeable, perfectly willing to be disagreeable.
Well, I think I'd like to jump onto another topic if you're ready for that.
Please, because I'm beating this one to death.
So what is something that we can do to get in the way of having meaningful conversations? Like, I was thinking about certain times that you are introduced to somebody and... Introduced, like, hey, this is so-and-so, this is so-and-so, and you shake hands, and you're looking, you have eye contact. No, this is just like in general. And how many times, like, you start having this conversation, and you're like, wait, I forgot their name.
Ouch.
You know what I mean? It's like you're not present in the moment. You're not, like, listening to who they are until you, like, get on a subject or, like, wait, I do care about what's going on right now. And not... just trying to, I think some people like talk too much. They're not in it for the conversation. They're in it for like speaking instead of listening.
Easy to do.
And engaging with what's going on in the conversation, which is super easy to do, especially when you're nervous. like I kind of go inward and I like to listen. Some people go outward and they just like to talk. Mm-hmm. But engaging in a conversation, that makes it extremely hard. Like for somebody that's looking at me, they probably think that I'm not paying attention, but I'm like paying super attention.
Yeah, she's like deep into it.
Like it might seem like I'm bored. Yeah. I'm not bored at all. I'm taking you all in. I'm listening. I'm trying to get feedback from what you're talking about.
Yeah. You said it though, like if you get scared in that moment, like mm-hmm. you get scared of being judged, you get scared of being not enough for some reason,
saying too much
for whatever reason. Like I like getting that nervous. Like nervous is just forgetting how to do what you know how to do. Like you know how to talk. Mm-hmm. Why do you forget how to talk when you're public speaking? What do you forget how to talk when you go up to the guy or the girl that you mm-hmm. have a crush on? Like, why do you forget to talk in those scenarios? Well, because you got nervous. Nervous is just fear of not being enough. Kind
of like how people use alcohol as liquid courage. It just gives you that little to like once you give them like. Who says that? Becca, doesn't she say like once you give me a drink, I'm just like I won't.
I think Becca's on here too.
Oh yeah, she is.
Oh yeah, she is.
But I mean that's super common. That's not just her.
Yeah, and I think it's easy. Like, how do I say this? It's easy to give yourself an excuse. Mm-hmm. How do I say that?
An excuse to not engage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's easy to justify your way out of it. Like, mm-hmm. oh, they probably wouldn't like me anyway. Who says? They might not. Like, I'm not smart enough to engage in that conversation. Like, who says? Like,
well, you're not giving the chance to even explore that mm-hmm. at that point. Mm-hmm. You have, like, everybody has something to give. Everybody has a story. Everybody has a...
Yeah. Like, you get Ian and I drinking in a conversation, and, like, Rachael sat there many times just like...
I'm still listening.
I know you are.
And I chirp in every now and then, but I just, like...
But you're like,
I'm trying to keep up. I'm just like, it's like a tennis court.
Yeah, and we're not debating, but we're like getting into some like deep stuff, and like half the time, like if a normal person were to walk into that conversation, they'd be like, "You guys are so weird, like so out there," and it's like, but we're both like that high. I don't know how to say this. Like we push that boundary of like where our mind can go, on a constant, like all the time. It's
like
kind of
questioning and seeking understanding and. Mm-hmm. You're curious. You're extremely curious people.
Extremely curious.
And I mean, that makes for good conversation as well, because you're just like, I want to know, I need to know.
Yeah. And most people that, like, a normal person walks in, they're like, you guys have done a lot of drugs. And I'm like, I can tell you exactly how many drugs I've done in my life. It's basically none.
Well, and that's the thing about being around you. You always say, like, oh, I suck at conversation. I'm like, you don't. You really don't. Like, you just...
I suck at normal people conversation.
Oh, like, he sucks at small talk.
I don't get it.
Yeah. So small talk for you doesn't make sense. That's why you suck at it, probably.
It's boring. It's like so what's it like? I like
it's like
to me.
Sports,
I'm digging for what's interesting.
Weather,
oh God.
School, career. I don't know what else. Music, and then
I can talk about sports, but like the interesting thing in sports aren't who scored the touchdown this Saturday or this Sunday. It's what's happening in youth sport or in youth culture. It's
or your fantasy football league.
I don't care.
Not fantasy football league. What's that called? Extreme sports.
My Extreme Sports League?
Yeah, his Extreme Sports League.
It's better.
It's like your principal's airplanes. Like, once you get them on that topic, or like comics or anything.
But what would you, like, it's an interesting thing to think about, to explore. Like, what would you do, like, if you took any sport or anything, like, you took anything, and you're like, what would make it more exciting?
Flipped it upside down.
Like, you take soccer, and you're like, you know, it's boring to watch. Even the people who love soccer, it's like, dude, like, you cannot convince me that it's not boring to watch. People that love baseball, do not convince me that there is not something that we could use to spice that sucker up.
I think everybody would agree with that.
Yeah, like, what can you do to make it more fun? And so all I did, like, now I'm going on it.
Now he's got him going.
All I did was I took each sport and I I documented all the things that I would change about it. Like I took the pads out of football. Like now you're not a battering ram. You can't injure each other as easily. And I baseball. I made it so you couldn't step out of the batter's box. I think that is a ridiculous idea that you could step out of batter's box. Like, what a waste of time. I put time limits on everything. I got rid of the infield fly rule. What a garbage. Like, if I want to let the ball drop and run a triple play, I should be able to do so.
I have no idea what these mean.
It's okay.
Most of them.
Anyway, but yeah, if you want to get talking on like something interesting, what would you do to spice that thing up? Man, like now we're talking. It can be any subject. It doesn't have to be sports. What would you do to spice it up? I can go there with you.
Yeah. So we should probably close it up.
Are we there already? Look at that. You get me going on Stream Sports League, but yeah, I don't know. I just think I know that small talk has a place, but I don't.
It does.
I don't totally understand it past the
build a little safety. Passing each other when you're really busy. Small talk, blah blah blah. Okay, I gotta go, but. I just think, like how you always say, lean into the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of great things come from being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So you're saying that small talk might be a discomfort?
I don't think when you think about it, like, how many times, like, asking someone questions about themselves, about their family, about what they're passionate about, how many times has it gone bad?
I don't know. Not very many. Not
very many. So, I mean, for me...
It's gone bad. It has.
I remember in high school, I had like only a few close friends. I didn't really do much. I wasn't very social. So I put myself out there and like I was literally just walking through the mall and it's like, I got to do something. And I literally just like walked into one of the stores and I was like, I need a job application. Because I was like, what can I do to put myself out there and force myself to be more social in this moment? Like I was already in sports. I was already like in a lot of clubs, but I wanted to force myself to have to talk to people that were older than me, younger than me. Yeah.
That's probably really good.
It helped me a lot. I learned a lot, like being a bartender and being a server and talking to, and I guess I was in retail too. You are forced to talk to many different types of personalities. If you're just in your sports, you're always talking about like sports stuff. If you're in your clubs, you're only talking about what the club is about.
Yeah.
So yeah, just putting yourself out there and seeing, like asking that question that could potentially turn into something bigger. I don't know.
Yeah.
You do it. You do it well.
I
try to follow your lead.
I don't know. To me, small talk is like a way to mine for the interesting thing. Like I'm mining for that interesting thing that you're willing to talk about because then I know that we can have a meaningful discussion about something. Because I don't want to make it about the thing that I'm interested in because then it's going to be boring. Then I'm just lecturing. Like
no, yeah.
But if we can get on a similar subject that we're both really find interesting, then it's usually pretty fun. Mm-hmm. But yeah, hard to do sometimes.
I agree.
But having I think it takes a certain amount of courage to do that. To definitely like really to open up to somebody and be like, well, this is what I think. Especially right now, like I said, like in the last 2 to 5 years, I've noticed a huge difference in like it used to be you could ask anything and people didn't get too offended, and all of a sudden recently, this isn't like a 30-year time window that you can blame it on the generational gap. This is a short period of time, and this is not something you can blame on social media either, because social media has been around since 2004. Basically, I mean, email was a form of social media too, so we can go back further than that. But basically, like today's version of social media has been out since like 2004. So it's like that's nothing new either. The last 2 to 5 years, something happened. I don't know what it is, but you cannot ask questions the same way that you used to be able to. And I don't know, like people are just super scared to
open up,
have a discourse of like open conversation, not debate, discussion.
Good observation.
Thanks, babe. All right. Well, what else do you want to say? Like I know you want to close this up because it's time.
I don't know. I think I got everything.
LOL, accurate.
Oh, is she on?
Yeah.
Oh, she did. Yeah. I think that's pretty good for now.
Me too.
Yeah.
Nice face.
Thanks.
All right. Well, thanks for being here with us, guys. We really appreciate it. If you are watching this video live, please put hashtag team live. And if you're watching this video later, put hashtag team replay in the comment section below. And then we can, write you a special message and say thanks. But please like, comment, share, send out to everybody that you know. Helps us out a ton. This was a good one. It really flew by.
It did. Fast. It was a quick one.
I think that means that you're having a good discussion. If it just flies by.
I hope so.
Yeah. Yeah. I notice good discussions either happen one way or the other. Either 5 minutes goes by and it feels like you got a ton accomplished in that discussion, or, a lot of time goes by, like half hour goes by, and you feel like it just went like that.
Yeah. One
way or the other. But the in-between kind of blows. All right, you ready to shut it down? Mm-hmm. All right, thanks for being here, guys. Really appreciate it. We'll see you, Rachel will see you next Tuesday. I'll see you tomorrow. I believe that we have an interview tomorrow. Not totally positive about that, but hope so, because I like interviews. Anyway, if you know somebody that would like to be on the show, please suggest them in the comment section below, actually. If you have a podcaster or somebody that we can interview on the show, I would love to have suggestions, and I'll contact them, and we'll get them scheduled up. But thanks for being here. We'll see you soon. Anything you want to say?
Bye.
See you guys. Thanks for being here.